Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into part 1 of a 4-part series on what it takes to scale your business simply and sustainably. And today, we are going to be focused in on building out your lean dream team. Because when you want time back in your day, when you want autonomy in your business, when you want things no longer dependent on you, so that you have a self-run and self-scaling company, a key piece of that is having the right team in place. Now, you don't want just any team. There is an art and a science to building a really high-performing and self-led team who can take your big, bold vision and help make it a reality while generating a great return on investment, instead of feeling like just an expense in your business. So that's what we're going to be diving into in part 1. In our next part of this series, we're going to be talking about the critical systems that your business needs for scale. And these are a little bit different than you might think. And then we'll be diving into strategy and planning, because strategy, planning, systems, and team are the 4 critical components of a simple, sustainable business. But let's go ahead and dive right into building out and up-leveling your lean dream team. Let me paint a picture of what your business could be like with your lean dream team in place. So imagine this. We're about to kick off the new week, and you look at your calendar, and it's filled with the things that you actually love to do and the things that are aligned to your zone of genius, instead of the things that you're dreading and wishing weren't on your schedule. You start the week inspired, and you can't wait to dive in and actually get to work. Not only are you doing work that you love, but you actually have space in your schedule for innovation and for strategy and for moving the business forward. And you have confidence that when you do have those brilliant new ideas, you have the right people in place to actually implement it and make it a reality as quickly and as simply as possible. When your workday ends, you're able to actually turn off your computer and not think about or even check in on work again until your next workday. You're able to head out on a 1-month vacation and sabbatical from your business, which actually a lot of my clients do. And you get to be fully present without that sense of panic that things are going to fall apart without you, and without constant messages from your team and your clients. And finally, when you look at your vision that you have long-term for your business, when you look at the goals that you have for the next 90 days and for this year, you have complete and total confidence that they are going to get done, they are going to get done well, and that they're going to get done without you having to be involved every step of the way and making all of the decisions. Now, if this is what your reality is like today, congratulations, that is absolutely incredible. If you only have a couple of or even none of these in place, building out and really up-leveling your team so that you have that true lean dream team is what's going to give you this and make that little exercise an actual reality in how you run your business and how you spend your time in the business. I think we all know that doing all the things ourselves and wearing all of the hats ourselves is a complete and total recipe for burnout and painfully slow progress towards our vision and goals. But even if we have a team in place, if we don't have the right systems in place, if we don't have the right communication and meeting cadences in place, if we aren't able to delegate effectively, then it can end up feeling like we have this huge expense and this overhead of all of these people to manage, and yet we still have to do so much ourselves and wear so many hats ourselves, and that our team isn't really giving us the freedom that we hoped for when we hired them. Now, this is where so many of my clients come to me. Most already have a team of some kind, and they just are struggling with boundaries with their team, with effective delegation, with having confidence that their team is working on the right things at the right time, or that they're actually getting a good enough return on investment. Sometimes they don't really have good visibility into what people are doing or why things are taking as long as they're taking. Something else that they often struggle with, and this may be something that's a concern for you as well, is even if they've had experience leading teams in the past, maybe if they've come from corporate or they worked for another business and they've been in a leadership role, it can be really different inside your own business. And a lot of them don't have prior leadership experience at all. So building out a team can be a little intimidating, and there's a lot of mistakes that people make in the beginning, not really realizing how to effectively lead a team. And without that strong visionary leadership from you, it becomes really challenging for that team to ever become a self-led or high-performing team. So not only is it about putting people in the right roles and having that ecosystem for success, but it's also looking at how to effectively lead that team and how to inspire ownership and leadership within each of the individuals on your team. And unfortunately, so much of what we're taught about teams in the entrepreneurial world, there's very little that's really applicable to a business at that multi-6 to multi-7 figure range. A lot of the advice that's out there is about kind of hiring your first VA or making your first couple of hires if you're just getting started, or it's about a really large scaling company that's in the high multi-7, 8, 9 figure range. And so many of the practices that we end up following in business, what businesses don't realize is they came from these really big companies. Things like developing org charts and having these hierarchies and having people be accountable to other people and do lots of reporting and lots of check-ins and hiring and building out these really large team structures. A lot of that comes from corporate. And what a lot of entrepreneurs also don't realize is that even the biggest companies in the world don't do that anymore. I've actually been brought in by many of the largest and most successful companies to completely transform the way that they hire, the way that they scale their business, the way that they approach team, the way that they approach projects and getting things done and getting products to market. The things that entrepreneurs are following and doing, they don't fully realize come from corporate, but not only do they come from these large corporations, but those corporations don't even follow those practices anymore. And this is true across the board, from how to build, run, scale businesses, how to implement products, but it also applies to team. And that's why I am so passionate about helping smaller businesses and entrepreneurs build out their Lean Dream Team, because it's what's going to give you the results that you actually want in your business, in combination with the right system, strategy, and planning, plus insights. And there's a lot of ways to simplify how you approach team and to make it so much more enjoyable to have a team and lead a team and build out a company culture that you're proud of and that you're excited to be a part of and that your team is excited to be a part of. So when I say Lean Dream Team, sometimes there's some misperceptions about the word lean in that. It is not at all about trying to save every penny or doing it all yourself or running a team that's super bare bones where everyone can barely keep their heads above water. It's actually the opposite of that. Building your Lean Dream Team is really about hiring strategically and intentionally. It's about surrounding yourself with the people that allow you to spend 80% or more of your time in your zone of genius, doing those things you're passionate about and those things that only you can really do in the business, and putting people in roles where they get to do the same. An ideal Lean Dream Team is where you have this great cohesive ecosystem where all of the core functions are getting done in your business and everybody is aligned with their zone of genius. Now, as you're starting to build out that team, the nature of it is more people will wear a lot of hats, and not everybody will be able to spend 80% or more of their time there. But over time, you can absolutely build up to that. And part of having the right people in the right roles is making sure that you're aligning people to their strengths and understanding what those strengths are, instead of just giving them a whole bunch of stuff to get things off your plate, but you're actually not really setting them up for success or for a position that they're going to enjoy and want to stick around for. Now, building a Lean Dream team also isn't about having full-time employees or full benefits and matching and profit sharing and all of those things that you frequently hear about. For a lot of businesses, that's absolutely what they want. And if that's what you want, fantastic, then that's what a Lean Dream team looks like for you. But if you want a team that's more contract-based, you want a team that is a blend of part-time and full-time. If you want full-time salaried employees, but you're not in a position yet where you can really offer benefits or where you can really do profit sharing, but you know that you want to get there over time, it's really just a matter of looking at what makes sense for your Lean Dream team for today and knowing where you want to evolve it to next. And that's going to keep changing and shifting over time. As you're building out your Lean Dream team, one of the things that you want to be really focused on is making sure that you're hiring for the right roles at the right time, because otherwise you can end up spending a lot of money on people that you either don't really need right now or that aren't going to be able to produce the results that you really want them to produce. And your team will feel more like an expense than like something that you're getting a return on investment for. Now, inside our Simplify to Scale program, we spend a lot of time on building out your Lean Dream team. We spend a lot of time on developing your strategic hiring plan and making sure that you're creating job descriptions and things that are going to attract the right people who are going to fit your company culture and align with your values. We talk about how to interview so that you are picking those people who are the right fit, not just today, but when you look to the future of what you're going to need in your business, how to actually onboard someone and set them up for success, how to lead and manage that team so that you are creating that high-performing self-run company. And then what and when you should be communicating and what performance measures look like. There's a lot that we dive into inside Simplify to Scale, but in this episode, I want to touch on just a few of the highlights that I think are really going to help you set yourself up for success. And if you want to join me in Simplify to Scale, I actually have a special cohort that's kicking off on September 13th that runs through December 13th, where we're going to be doing 12 weeks together live, focused on the core things that are going to help you scale your business simply and sustainably and really set you up for massive success for next year by putting the strategy, planning, systems, and team in place or up-leveling the practices that you already have. So you are good to go next year and you have confidence that your business will thrive regardless of what madness comes next in the economy, in the world, in our own lives. So if you want to know more about that, head over to leanoutmethod.com/scale for all of the details and to secure one of those spots for our September 13th kickoff. Let's dive into the 4 layers of team to really help you understand if you're bringing on the right roles at the right time. So here's the 4 layers of team. Up at the top is vision, and this is you. You own the vision of your business, and you are always going to be the person who owns the vision of your business. That's not something that you ever delegate. You are the visionary leader, and you want to not only have that clarity around vision, but you want to make sure that you are aligning the entire team and everyone who partners with the business around that vision. So if you find that you hold yourself back a bit and you really don't allow yourself to dream big enough or set bold enough visions, then find a business strategist, a business coach, a business bestie, somebody who can support you. You don't want someone else to impose a vision upon you, but you want to find the right person who will help you pull your vision out of you. But either way, you holistically own that vision. Now, the next layer is strategy. And this is where you make decisions on how you are going to achieve that vision. There are infinite ways that you can take that vision that you have and make it a reality. Doesn't always feel that way, but we often have way more choices and way more paths that we can follow than we even realize. So in the strategy piece, what you're looking at is saying, of all of the options that are available, what are the things that we are going to do to achieve this vision? And this is really all about choosing the path that's right for you and for your business and for your customers and business model. Here's where you want support. Here's where you would want to join a program like Simplify to Scale. You would want to hire a business strategist or coach or consultant. You would want to join some kind of mastermind or group mentorship program. You don't want to approach strategy 100% by yourself, because even if you are the most strategic thinker there is, the reality is you can't be an expert at everything. And you may not even be aware of all of the options that are available to you, and the fact that there may be simpler or more straightforward ways to approach what you want to achieve. Now, as your business scales and you get into the high multi-7 figures, 8 figures and beyond, you may be hiring for these strategy roles. This is where your C-suite leadership team starts to really get built out. And I'm not talking about the people who call themselves fractional CMOs or COOs or CFOs. I'm talking about truly building out your C-suite of full-time people. For most of us, where we're at right now, this is not roles that we are going to hire for, but we should be finding that support by joining programs, hiring coaches, and really surrounding ourselves with the right strategists. Just my one word of caution that I will throw out there: avoid anything that's cookie cutter. Strategy should never be cookie cutter. Strategy needs to be customized, because the strategy is all about how are you taking your unique vision and making that a reality in the context of your business. Anything that is too step-by-step, too prescriptive, too cookie cutter, you want to avoid, because it's probably not going to be the right fit. That's why I'm so passionate in Simplify to Scale and in everything that we do, of having flexible frameworks that can be adapted to a business so that it ends up being right for you. Now, the bottom layer of the pyramid is execution. This is where the stuff gets done. Vision and strategy and plans, as great as they are completely useless if you're not actually executing on them. You need the people who can roll up their sleeves and actually get things done. You want to make sure that the person is skilled and knowledgeable in the position that they're playing, but generally, this is not a strategist role. This is a doer execution role. And as a result, the rate that you're paying people at this level is going to be the lowest of all of the rates that you pay for your team. Now, there's a fourth layer. And this is actually above the execution layer and below the strategy layer, and it's strategic execution. When you're able to hire for this role, this is where you really start to see time back in your schedule. But this is also a level that you're going to pay a lot more for. Without this layer, the strategy and direction was coming from you. But when you hire the strategic execution layer, all of a sudden, this layer is taking on that strategy for their particular specialty. So they're not looking holistically across your whole business for strategy. This is where you'd bring in, for example, a social media specialist, somebody who can take your vision, who can look at your business model, who can look at your operating model, and within that context say, okay, for your market, for your offers, for this upcoming launch, here's what we need to do. Here's why we need to do it. And they're not just rolling up their sleeves and getting things done, but they are actually setting the strategy for that particular area. Now, sometimes these roles are pure strategy roles, and they are going to provide the strategy to the execution layer. So this is where maybe you have an agency that you're working with for that social media strategy, and then your actual social media person is the one who's taking what they share and implementing it. But if you are hiring somebody and you're able to hire somebody in that role who will do a blend of the strategy and the execution, you've now up-leveled your team. You've minimized the number of handoffs and complexity. You've minimized the number of different people working on the same things. And you end up having one person who's doing what two people frequently could end up doing. So what I frequently see is people are hiring someone down at the execution level, and they're expecting them to play at the strategic execution level. So they end up getting really frustrated because they brought this person in and the person can't do anything without them, or the person's not doing a really good job and the things they're doing aren't getting great results. The person feels like they're doing exactly what they are supposed to be doing. Whereas you look at it and say, this isn't getting us anywhere. And it's because there's a disconnect where you think they should be doing strategic execution. They're only skilled at and think they're doing execution and that you should be sharing the strategy with them. So this is one of the most common mistakes that I see when people hire that gets really expensive, causes a lot of frustration. It makes you feel like you have to own all the decisions, double check everything, and be involved in everything in order for it to get done and get done well. On the flip side, I will sometimes see people hiring for strategic execution, but only being willing to pay at an execution level and getting frustrated that they can't find anybody to either take the role or to stay in the role once they hire them. So knowing these 4 layers of team can be really helpful to look at what you want to do. So again, you own vision at the top, strategy at the level of 6 to multi-7 figures is really typically best achieved by partnering with a business coach, a business consultant, a business strategist, joining a mastermind, joining a group mentorship program, joining something like Simplify to Scale. Your execution layer is the people who are rolling up their sleeves and getting stuff done. They're the people that you're usually paying the least because they are taking direction and strategy from you or from somebody else. And then strategic execution is that role where you're going to pay much more of a premium for the person, but they're able to help bridge the gap between vision, strategy, and execution. This is where an accountant comes in. This is where a financial advisor comes in. This is where a marketing strategist comes in. This is where a social media strategist comes in. It's those type of roles that are really experts at what they do in setting the strategy for their particular specialty. And if you can hire somebody who isn't just doing strategy and telling your execution layer what to do, but they are doing both strategy and execution in one, you are going to get the biggest bang for your buck and keep things simple with a whole lot less complexity and places for miscommunication and places for things to go wrong. So leveraging this framework should help you look at who you should hire and when you should hire them. And when we first start building our teams, what frequently ends up happening, we have a lot of people doing a little. So we have this person working 5 hours a week on this thing, and that person working 5 hours a week on the other thing, and somebody else working 10 hours a week on something. And it ends up actually taking you a lot of time because you're managing all of these different people. And because it's not a true team, it's just you managing a lot of individuals who are off doing their own things. It puts everything on you, and it's not a true lean dream team. What you want to do as quickly as possible, if you don't already have this in place, is you want to start to be bringing in people who are focused on doing more things within more time. You're sometimes better off having 2 full-time employees than 5 part-time freelancers who do a little bit here and there. And as you're thinking about your Lean Dream team, as you're thinking about what that looks like, as you're thinking about who your next strategic hires are, here are some questions to reflect on. What roles are needed to help the company achieve its vision and goals? Not who you have today, but what do you think it would take? When you look at that vision that you have, when you look at your goals for, let's say, the next 12 to 18 months, what are the roles that you think are needed in order to actually make that a reality as quickly and as simply and sustainably as possible? And then look at which ones would be most critical to bring in next. And next usually does one of 2 things. It frees you up so that you can spend your time on the things that are really going to help move the business forward, or it adds an additional capability in the business that you don't have today and that you really think that you need in order to achieve your vision. Now, one quick little pro tip I will share with you, another mistake that I see people make a lot is they just want to get things off their plate so badly that they end up hiring people for it, but they don't first take the time to simplify and to assess, is this something that needs to be done at all? And sometimes they just end up delegating a whole bunch of stuff that's truly noise and distractions and not adding value to your business. It ends up being waste, and it ends up getting really expensive because you're paying someone to do something that shouldn't be done at all. Or things get delegated without putting the proper systems in place first, or even assessing if there's something that can be done to simplify how it gets done, or to even automate pieces of how it gets done. And again, you end up hiring more people or investing more hours in things than you need to. You want to think about what are the soft skills that are important to making sure that you have your right fit people. Obviously, when you interview, you're going to be looking for, can they do the job? Do they have the skills to do the job? But aside from the more technical skills, what are the soft skills? What are the value aligned things that you're looking for? Once you have those defined, look at who you have today on your team and assess if you have the right people in the right roles. Sometimes you have the right people and they just simply aren't performing as well as you would like, because you don't have them in the right roles and aligned to the right activities. Or sometimes, unfortunately, you just have somebody on your team who's not the right fit. Or maybe they were at one point in time, but as your business has continued to level up, they have not been able to level up based on the needs that you currently have. And that's unfortunate, but it's good to know now, because the longer you keep around wrong fit people, the more it slows you down and the more expensive it ends up becoming, not just from a financial perspective, but also just from a stress perspective and from a time perspective as well. You want to know the details of each of your positions. You want to know what it's going to take to perform that role well and make sure that your employees have that insight or your contractors have that insight. You want to know what training and ongoing support is required to make sure that you're keeping somebody top of their game and giving them the opportunity to continue to learn and grow in the company. And then finally, you want to ask and look at what you need to measure to be able to showcase the success of the person in the role, and for them to have clarity on how what they're doing contributes to the overall vision, goals, and results that you get in your business. There's so much more that I could talk about related to your Lean Dream Team. It is an entire full, robust program within a program inside Simplify to Scale. But in this episode, I wanted to touch on just a few of the different concepts to get those wheels turning so that you can look at how you can build up your Lean Dream Team, or if you already have your current team in place, maybe some things that you can think about and do to help them up level so that you have that high performing and self-run team that gives you a high performing and self-run company. If you would like to join us inside Simplify to Scale right now, doors are open for a very special edition of Simplify to Scale, where we are going to spend 12 weeks together live from September 13th through December 13th. And we are going to put all of the systems and strategies in place in your business to be able to scale simply and sustainably and really set yourself up for that success for next year. One of the core things that we talk about is team. We spend a lot of time on the Lean Dream Team, and I include access to all of our toolkit around the Lean Dream Team, including hiring templates, onboarding plans, job descriptions, application forms, offer letters, you name it. If you need it, it's included. Pretty much everything that you would need to build up and up level your Lean Dream Team is all included inside that program. And Lean Dream Team is only one of several different things that we'll be focused on. So I invite you to go to leanoutmethod.com/scale to find out all of the details and to register to join us. Because this is being taught live, there's some really unique and special opportunities, and you'll get my feedback and support and my eyes on your business in a way that you won't in future cohorts. So if this sounds at all like something that aligns with the next level for your business, then I invite you to head over to leanoutmethod.com/scale, check it out. And if you have any questions, you can always put time on my calendar at any time. at scalingstrategycall.com, and I'm happy to work through it with you to make sure that it's absolutely the right fit for you right now. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.